Julie McDonald,
Here.
Hannah Bazinet,
Here.
Jim C,
Here.
Millie Schoonover,
Here.
Michael Kevich,
Yeah, two, right?
and Chanel McKinley,
Here.
and Timothy O'Connor.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, consent agenda.
Move to adopt.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt a consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Moving on, hearing from the public, open for public comment. Do we have anyone on the phone?
Is there a member of the public on the phone that wishes to address the council?
Hearing none, moving on to reports from city officials. Mr. Administrator.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I followed up a number of items that we're working on in my written staff report. I will mention just as an update that I did speak with a representative at SPC, Seafood Producers Cooperative, and they are interested in participating with us again on Ice House labor this summer, as we've done for the last few years. Hans has arranged for, spoken with Daniel Jackson, and he plans to come back. He's the gentleman that's been running the water of the Ice House for the last few years. And on a related note, the access, the 2-year access permit that SPC uses to occupy the city dock during the summertime expired 2020. And so I'm sure they'll want to renew it because it's in the past they've asked for an access permit for effective for 2 years at a time. That requires council approval. And so assuming I hear back from SPC that they want to occupy the city dock again this summer, it's likely that the next agenda will have a 2-year access permit come before the council for your consideration about them occupying the city dock again for 2021 and 2022. Happy to answer any questions council might have.
Any questions, Council? For John? No? Sherry, Ms. Treasurer.
Submitted a report. We have to answer any questions.
You have budget meetings coming up next week?
We do next Wednesday, yes, at 4:30.
Okay, we have budget committee, Hannah. Oh,
And all 3 of them are able to come so far next Wednesday. We're ready to rock and roll.
what time in the morning?
4:30.
4:30, okay.
Not in the morning.
Well, Millie, you said you want to get up early. What's that?
Unless you want to come on your own at 4:30.
I do that enough anyway. It's quieter here then. Anything else, Sharon? That's it. You guys have any questions, Sharon? Okay. Aquatic manager.
Oh, she's excused tonight, Mr. Mayor. She notified me she's not well.
We have a written report.
She does.
I went through there, right? Yeah. City clerk.
I wasn't ready. The only thing to note is spring cleanup is coming up. I'm working with Russell to get it organized. It's a tentative schedule of May 3rd, but not solid yet. And the next council meeting will be April 1st, 2021, if scheduled accordingly.
You gonna have a truck by then, Russell? Is that
Actually,
gonna affect that?
April 15th, yeah, sorry. Just realized that.
questions for clerk? Clerk, any questions for council?
I do not, but thank you.
City planner?
I submitted a report, don't have anything to add to it, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are you gonna bring Missy in to handle more of your COVID money or what?
See some guidelines from the Treasury Department on how we can and are supposed to use it.
Yeah. Seen that.
But I got that in my back pocket just in case.
Fire and EMS coordinator.
She's excused, she's on leave this week, Mr. Mayor.
Harbor master.
Mr. Mayor, I have submitted a written report, but would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Hans? Nope. Thank you, Hans. Library.
I have submitted a written report. I would be happy to answer any questions. As of tonight, my plan is to do away with appointments at the library starting on Monday. So hopefully that will go over well.
Have you found more volunteers? I noted that you hadn't found all of them you wanted.
I reached out a while ago to the evening volunteers, and most of the responses were either I'm not comfortable returning yet, or I'm going to be traveling. So once we, probably in the next couple of weeks, I'll be reaching out to them again just to say, hey, we're open, not for appointment anymore, just normal hours, and trying to get back in the evenings. It's just tricky if I only get a handful of people because they usually only do one evening a month. So I want to make sure I have enough that we could keep it open 2 to 3 nights consistently.
Okay,
Angela, what are the volunteer hours in the evenings?
So pre-COVID, it was Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m.
okay. Any more questions for Angela? None? Okay. Police chief. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, I'm trying to kill it.
Okay, I did not submit a written report. I was sick for a few days, non-COVID related. Some news though, Officer Ben Page has given his notice. He's going to be moving to Montana. Some family issues came up. He's been with the agency for over 5 years. He was also our CDL and motorcycle examiner. So we're going to be losing those services for a little bit. I've been working with DMV and also with John. I've identified another employee that will be traveling up to Anchorage in June. It used to be a week-long course. Now it's a week and a half to get certified as a CDL examiner. So dispatcher Travis Tuttle is going to partake in that. Hopefully he will pass it, get certified, come back, and then we will be able to reoffer the CDL driving test again. As far as the motorcycle goes, the soonest that we would be able to get somebody into that training, which ideally would be also Mr. Tuttle, is going to be May of next year. So it's going to be a while before we're going to be able to offer the motorcycle road test. But hopefully with the CDL, it's only going to be just a few months lapse, but we're not going to be able to do that. Officer Dustin Conley, he completed the 40-hour start, which is the sexual assault response training. It was all virtual this year. It seemed like it went pretty decent. I've talked to a couple of the other people that attended the training. It seemed like it was definitely worthwhile. We do have a Tahoe, the 2015 model that is currently on TOW that I hope to purchase hopefully in the next week or two. It's up in Thorn Bay, so I don't have to pay for shipping. That's good news. Bad news was that the Forest Service LEO broke his vehicle, so he is currently using a Tahoe. soon as his is fixed, then we'll be able to get that, and we can replace or surplus out one of the expeditions that's having a lot of issues. There's a new DPSO on the island. He's assigned to Thorn Bay. His name's Matthew McGinnis. DPSO Buck Fazenedge was the one down in Heidelberg, has left. He took a police job down in Oregon. I hear that they're in the works of getting somebody hired for Heidelberg, but nobody in that particular position yet. We still have Officer Josh Conley in the police academy. We get him back in June. I had a follow-up with ortho on my knee. I was hoping to be signed off next week. That's not going to happen. It's going to be another probably 3 or 4 weeks. I'm still on light duty, so I'm doing as much as I can to help the rest of the guys. And I ran the numbers earlier today. Our calls for service jumped up 260 for Craig, 146 for Quat, 26 for the troopers for the month of March. And we almost hit 1,000 in Craig, but it's definitely picking up. And with everything that happened today, I think we might even beat March's number for April's if the calls keep coming like they are. Other than that, just keeping up with all the normal day-to-day stuff and staying busy. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Those calls include the EMS stuff too, or is that just PD calls?
No, when I do the calls for service, when I incorporate Craig, I include the EMS page outs, anything and everything that basically is Craig related, police, fire, and EMS.
Okay,
And I can easily run the numbers if you were interested in a breakdown of like EMS calls per month versus police, that type of deal. That wouldn't be that hard. But I know EMS last month and today have been hopping.
yeah. No, I was just curious, RJ. I kind of know what they are, so. Yeah, they were busy today. So. Thank you, RJ. Okay, Public Works.
I've submitted a report required. You don't have to answer any questions that you have concerning that report. We would like to have in our, currently our rear load box truck, garbage truck, lead down with damage. So I'll be presenting a couple of options. At the next council.
Any questions for Russell? Thank you, Russell. Recreation. Victoria,
Well, good evening.
how you
I'm
doing?
here.
Okay,
Great. I submitted a report, but I want to let you know we had a fantastic bazaar. We had over 160 people through, and not all at the same time, thankfully. The vendors were all happy, the people were all happy, so that was great. We're going to have ballet next week, starting on Tuesday. We're switching pickleball to Sundays and Wednesdays, and Wednesday evenings at 7. And then on the 10th, we're going to have a volleyball skills clinic at 7. That's a Saturday following skating. And then we'll have a cleanup again on April 17th. And I'm looking for someone to help me out. If you know of anyone who wants to be an assistant and perhaps someday be the director, send them my way. And any questions?
no questions? Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.
Recreation. That was you, huh? Parks and Public Facilities. Doug,
I submitted the written report. Would be happy to answer any questions if there are.
any questions for Doug? Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, reading the correspondence. Anybody got any questions on that?
I was interested to hear what you guys had to say about the United Fishermen of Alaska. I'm not overly familiar with them.
Did you read the letter?
I did.
Okay. They represent all fishing groups, not just specifically one in particular, like gill netters or singers or whatever, just all fishing groups. And they do a lot of important work lobbying for the fishing industry and stuff, so. And they, a lot of our fishermen are members, so. It's up to us if we want to support them financially in some way. What they do is important. It's up to us whether or not we want to support them for $300 a year.
Maybe we can look at putting it in this year's budget, if the budget committee discuss it. Rather than just add something from, that's not already budgeted.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. Put it into the,
Budget process.
well, putting into the budget implies that we do want to join. And I'm not saying we don't. I don't know much about them.
Right, but I'm just, it's a discussion item, what I'm saying.
Oh,
for
it's a
the budget
discussion
committee.
item for the budget committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
That work for everybody?
I just didn't know if any positions that they took contradicted the city council's feelings on things. I don't know.
Well, occasionally. Actually, I think we butt heads with them a little bit on. They're pretty much anti-logging. But there are things we are gonna butt heads on people, and we still have to agree to disagree on some things, so it's not a big deal.
Okay.
You know, occasionally the trollers and and they have a little bit of a, ooh, maybe not so much, or, you know, but that's just part of.
Nothing,
agreeing to disagree.
nothing big enough
No.
that you wouldn't want to join.
No.
Okay.
Wouldn't want to support them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I feel too, and because I'm on the Alaska Troller Association board, and we do clash now and then, but it's just minor,
Minor spots. Okay.
so. Everybody looking out for their own. so.
Yeah. Well, kind of what they're supposed to
But
do.
I would support them as far as personally. We'll discuss that in budget meeting then. Okay? Any more questions on any of those correspondence?
No, I didn't take the time to read the actual document for the forest stuff, so. I was having trouble to pop onto my computer screen, but if those people come down there to speak with us, I'm sure they would be willing to speak at length about what their proposal is for their logging for the next 5 years.
Yes.
And improving their forest practice rules.
Yes.
We can discuss that too if they'll come down.
Mhm.
That would be nice. Other than that, city assessor. Says he's gonna raise everybody's taxes.
I saw that.
He's a popular guy. Yeah.
Everybody at Millie's.
I'm about ready to sell a house if it's really
Huh?
worth that much.
The assessment I received today, and it's totally different.
Is it?
Mhm.
Huh.
It tells you what's taxable or the amount.
Oh, wow. Is this outbuildings or is it just the house itself?
Well, mine will be the house and the land. but it was just, I'd never seen it look like.
Right, it's a little different format. It starts out with the property, which the property went up. The houses stayed basically the same, is the way I read it.
Yes.
And then they subtract the old people's amount off the total, and it's real simple, actually. I like it.
A lot of that is attributed to the fact that we moved those notices over to the Mars system that we've been using for the land registry this year. So we've been adding some of that back, and then the assessors help Sherry create a report to put the notices out that contain all that information.
Okay. Anything want to be discussed on that any further? No. So what do we have to vote on, accepting the correspondences, or just move on? New business, review of American Rescue Plan Act. Brian?
John put a memo together and it set slides that AML presented and sent out. Really, there's not, we're still waiting on more information. Exactly how much and what the distribution amount for communities will look like.
I will add that there's, you look through the slides, you see a lot of familiar looking terminology, similar to programs that were offered either by the state or by the city of Craig under the CARES Act funding, rental assistance, mortgage assistance, assistance with utilities, right? There's specific designations for childcare, heating assistance, assistance with water and sewer bills, people that qualify. You go further into the slides. There's discussion about transit programs, which might benefit the IFA since they are funded in part by the Federal Transit Administration because they carry passengers independent of vehicles. Library and school funding, especially for internet access. You go to the page marked other provisions, utility, consumer housing. There's emergency rent relief programs that are identified in the legislation. Keep in mind, this is 1.9 trillion with a T dollars, so it's a little mind-boggling if you ask me. These programs continue on. A breakdown of them through these slides. You go to the state and local relief page, or the page that's titled State and Local Relief. There's 10 billion in capital project funding for states to carry out capital projects that could include includes water and sewer. Actually, that's on a different page. But there's also an additional 1.5 billion for eligible revenue share counties, that is places that already receive PILT and secure rural schools payments. I don't know how much of that will filter down to Craig. But we are in an eligible area based on the language here. The next page is titled Provisions. I've highlighted the top line, Treasury to provide guidance with an exclamation point next to it, which is, as Brian said, whenever that guidance is published, we'll have to get right on it and read it and figure out what it means for the city using whatever it funds it receives directly. AML estimates that the city is in line to receive around between $400,000 and $450,000 in two payments, like most communities. One payment to come soon and another payment to come in a year or so. AML's numbers are approximate, but based on their consultations with big nationwide organizations like the National League of Cities and National Association of Counties, that's the calculations that they've come up with. Applied to Alaska, that's the way it appears to work out. Some of the funding will come through the state Department of Commerce, Community and Economic Development, just like the CARES money did. Other funding might come in a roundabout way, maybe through another federal agency, like EDA or USDA Rural Development. The funding is available to be spent through 2024, which especially for the capital projects gives time for communities like Craig to develop projects, get them designed and constructed all within that 3-year timeline. So that's that opens up some possibilities. I think a lot of this funding also, in addition to be routed through some federal agencies, will go through Alaska Housing Finance Corporation and Department of Health and Social Services at the state level, maybe Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. So it will be a broad reach, but it's all a bit, it's all a part of a bit of conjecture at the moment. I think that it's likely that some direct payments will come to the cities, like under the CARES. It just won't be as much as the CARES money. And then our job as staff will be to figure out how to access the other funding sources that the city might be eligible for. And we're already talking with Steve Silver about the most effective way to do that. It's a big pot of money, and to the extent that we want to position ourselves to receive some of it, will be the policy calls the council will make down the road after we've got time to do the research and figure out what the sideboards are for some of these funds. So this is just a heads up. There's no action required, but I want to give you an idea of the kind of things that we'll be keeping track of between now and certainly the end of the year, if not longer than that. It's going to take a long time. I think probably take to the end of the year, just for some of these state and federal agencies to be able to articulate how they want to distribute the money. So, and now having said that, some of the funding is required to be distributed in the next 30 to 60 days. So some of it will come in the initial rush, but I think the bulk of it will come over the course of the next 18 months or so.
It's pretty amazing that a bill of this size gives gives us a third of what we got last time. Because the bulk of it goes to New York, California, and Illinois. $350 billion goes to those 3 states. It's pretty freaking amazing.
The only problem is that take advantage of that money, you have to live in one of those states. So fortunately, we're spared that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to be blue.
Do you want John to draft a letter about that? I'm just kidding.
It doesn't really good. I just had to get my comment in. I'm not happy about that. It's a lot of money. It
is.
I mean, they should have done something for Alaska to make PERS whole. Because they just made all of the pension systems for California, Illinois, and New York whole.
Well, one of the criteria in this money is it can't be deposited into any pension fund.
Yeah, kinda.
So I'm not so sure about what kind of clear path those states will have to augment their pension funds, but as the old saying goes, money is fungible, right? You use money in one area and you free up money that you would have used in another area for another purpose.
Yeah.
So I can see some of that happening.
Yes. Well, any comments from council?
On this or closing comments?
Closing comments?
Head Start,
Yes.
where are we at? I know we talked briefly today.
We did.
We need to set up an appointment with.
We talked with Chris Wright-Cannon, superintendent. He says the district is amenable to making some space available for Head Start. He has been in contact over the course of the last 12 months with representatives from Lincoln Haida Head Start organization. If Head Start is able to come up with some capital funding for a structure, I think the rest of it is pretty easy to do. The district seems quite open and willing to accommodate a structure in the presence of Head Start enrollees on the school grounds, especially in close proximity to the elementary school where the kitchen is and the playground as well. So initial outlook, I think Julie is positive.
Yeah, I'm just getting concerned because we're already in April. And with all the federal stuff, everything takes forever. So, and then if we have to have a mobile, what are they called? Modular brought up, you know, all that can take a lot of time. And I just, there was no Head Start last year because of COVID. And I hate to see that happen again, not just because my son's in Head Start, but I just hate to see it happen again. So is there any action we need to take or anything we can?
At this point, we haven't been requested to take any action. I think the best thing to do is for me to stay in touch with Chris. And for Chris to continue to talk with Lincoln Haida Head Start about some kind of a structure. His initial thoughts is that it could be placed in that gravel parking area that's between the elementary school kitchen and the wood boiler building. Which means that a lot of the site work's already done.
Yeah.
There would be some utility work to do. But again, I think the real sticking point here is finding a suitable building to put there.
So do they think that they have one already, or do you think that they have to?
It's not my impression that they have access or that they've identified a building, no.
Okay, so if Head Start needed to purchase a modular building, they pay $2,000 a month in rent currently, roughly, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah. We
So-
can discuss that and also,
Could the city do a loan to Head Start and then the rent would get paid back to the city?
From the city standpoint, city can loan money, yes. I don't know what Head Start's rules are, but structurally, yes, we could do that. I mean, the council would have to authorize some sort of an agreement that, I mean, once staff is told to do it, we'll start the process in motion to try to make it happen.
we discussed a low interest loan possibly through economic development money out that we already have. And we'll have to find out what Head Start's position is on that and everything else, and whether or not we're gonna have to buy another modular or build in place.
And there's more than one way to skin a cat too. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
But it's possible that the school district could fund it and take in the
Yeah.
the monthly payment.
Yeah.
And in point of fact, we haven't heard definitively from Head Start that they're ready to move as soon as possible. Just haven't heard that from them. So,
Well, the local Head Start, you mean?
no, the office, the main office in general.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know what the locals want.
The things move very, very slow with the main office. From my experience, I've had kids in Head Start since 2015, 16. Things move very slowly and then rules suddenly get brought up. And then it's like mad dash. Like a couple of years ago, all of a sudden they weren't going to let us be at the CTA because of the smoke shop. And then they somehow got this thing where all the parents signed a waiver and then they were able to go there. And so anyways, but I mean, if the CTA has no playground, there is no Head Start. Because they can't be there without a playground, is my understanding.
It could be, I don't know, but I'm getting the message that we should stay active on this and continue working with the school district and with Lincoln High.
Okay, so how do we stay active?
Seems like it would be better for the school or the city to purchase or own the building if it was on their property, wouldn't it? And just charge rent?
That's essentially, I think, what we're talking about.
Oh, I thought you were saying that they were going to purchase a building.
Well, either way,
They wouldn't, yeah, I mean, all that has to be worked out, but whoever funds it could use the 2,000 as that service payment.
yeah,
And whether that 2,000 from Lincoln High is rent or mortgage, it's sort of, doesn't really make any difference in some respects.
Yeah.
It would make more sense as rent.
it depends on the
To the
property.
school district or to the city, either way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And, but yeah, we're in the process of looking into all that right now. So I talked to John about the money and we can make the money available or whatever we can hide it and Head Start decide they want to do. And the school. So as soon as Chris Rattan decides what he wants to do, if he wants to put a building in there, we'll figure it out. that we're willing to work with them, and seem like they're all willing to work with us, is what I get it. So, from everybody I've talked to. I even talked to Jim Seeley about possibly helping build something there if we needed it, and he was willing to consider it.
Well, and his daughter's in Head Start as well.
There you go.
So.
So,
Julie, I know that the Plickett Head staff are still working from home,
Mhm.
so it's gonna be like twice as slow.
Yeah,
I would recommend a letter go to President Peterson and the vice president. Otherwise, it's just going to sit there.
that's what I'm worried about.
It's just going to sit there. So I would send a certified letter to President Peterson and vice president, and then they have to take action on it.
Yeah.
Once a letter gets to that level, they have to take action on it.
Thank you for that insight. Do you think that should come from the city or from parents or?
I think the more people it comes from, like the city and the parents
Mhm.
the school,
and the school.
Okay, and who is this going to again?
Richard Peterson.
I'm not familiar who that is. Richard Peterson?
yeah, President Connecticut in Juneau.
The whole Lincoln High organization.
Oh, the whole, oh, okay.
Housing, Head Start.
Okay, that's why I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I hounded them to try and get Tate in. I got to know everybody there pretty well.
Well, he used to live in Passaic. His mom still does, doesn't she? Yeah.
Okay. So does the city want to write a letter? I say looking at John.
Yeah, if you give me direction to, I will make sure it's done.
And then I can talk to Miss Shirley about getting the parents to write individual letters.
John can draft a letter.
Because they get, if I'm not mistaken, the Head Start is paid like either every 5 or 10 years. So for each community, they do a budget.
Mhm.
And I think if anything's gonna hold them back, they wouldn't have it in the budget. But it's, to me, from my way of thinking, it's all doable. It's just a matter of getting that ball rolling.
Mr. Mayor. Would CTA be prepared to support this as well?
Yes,
That would make a big difference in the eyes of Lincoln High, I think.
CPA has already, I'm not sure who they've been conversing with. Because I'm only a board member, I don't know what goes on a daily basis. The board's not involved with stuff like that until it comes to the board level.
Do you know if they've written a letter or they plan to?
If they're asked to, they probably will, and we meet the second Tuesday of every month, we only meet once a month.
Second Tuesday every month.
Next
Okay,
week,
so that's coming up.
next week, correct? Yeah.
I'm sorry, at what time?
We meet at 6:30.
6:30. Can we just show up or?
I would be talking to Marilyn Paradovich,
Okay,
like even give her a call tomorrow, because she talks with the chair like every day.
okay.
They still have their offices closed to the public, so you can't really have to call.
Okay.
Okay. Any more on that?
No.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry to be a problem. Things were moving so swiftly until I opened my mouth.
Good job.
Maybe it wasn't.
I appreciate the help. Any more comments? Hannah? Nothing?
Happy Easter, everyone.
Yeah.
Easter,
It's coming up.
nobody's gonna say anything, I'll say move to adjourn.
Oh, second.
Motion been made to adjourn and seconded. Who's in favor?
Aye.
Thursday, Easter egg hunt, Saturday.